You ever told yourself you're going to pull out no matter what happens, you're going to pull out. And then next thing you know, you don't have the ability to, whether it's by force or by choice. This seems to be what's happening to us right now. Listen, I get all the feels in the world that President Trump wants to pull out. I'm talking about the Strait of Hormuz and the Iran war. And we may be pulled back into this because if you break it, you fix it, is what some people like to say. Apparently, the Iranian Navy and their fast boats are still about it. They're extremely hard to see by our Navy and by satellites because they can hide in caves. They can steer near the coastline. They can also stay in coastal waters of other countries like Pakistan. And so we can't necessarily engage them with helicopters or with our ships or whatever. And it seems to be that we now have reports that the Navy not only is still up and functioning, but they may have attacked and seized 3 vessels. It's been confirmed by the White House. The Iranian IRGC Navy says that it captured a pair of container ships that attempted to sail through the Strait of Hormuz. The ships were attacked and then seized by Iranian forces. See, here's the thing, okay? One of all the ships, at least 2 of them, said they had permission to go through. And I don't even know if that necessarily matters because this sends a message to other ships that are in the Persian Gulf, the Arabian Gulf, or they're in the Arabian Sea, or in there the any of those surrounding waters. Like, yeah, we dare you to give it a go. We dare you to give it a try because we're going to come at you with fast boats. They attack those ships and then they seize 2 of them. So I guess they're going to be taking those back to their own ports. They're going to be going ahead and prying open, seeing what's inside those ships. They're going to just take them from themselves. Like, what happens to the stuff inside? This is reportedly satellite images today. What looks like a flotilla of those fast attack boats sailing straight north of the Strait of Hormuz near the Kargan coast. At least 33 boats can be seen in what it looks like of a force of enforcing the strait closure. This is a crazy look just to see whether this is by force or this is how they have to attack a ship. To know that they still have this many vessels to, that they can use at any time. This is not a number one signal to the U.S. Navy. What it's really sending a signal out to is to anyone that may be thinking about, if we're just going to go ahead and pass through the strait, we're not necessarily worried about paying Iran any money. We'll be all right. Yeah, we'll be all right is going to get you caught up. Now, let's just see the White House press secretary's response to this and how they seem to be downplaying it. And I'm going to tell you why it's a bigger deal than they're making it out to be.
No, because these were not U.S. ships. These were not Israeli ships. These were 2 international vessels. And for the American media, who is sort of blowing this out of proportion to discredit the president's facts that he has completely obliterated Iran's conventional navy, these 2 ships were taken by speedy gunboats. Iran has gone from having the most lethal navy in the Middle East to now acting like a bunch of pirates. They don't have control over the strait. This is piracy that we are seeing on.
Oh, these aren't, listen, they didn't necessarily use like their big frigates or anything like that. These are small ships. You know what I'm saying? So like, listen, when we grope you up, all I did was caress your butt. Okay, you act like I totally was touching your breast and I was like totally like, trying to shove my tongue in your mouth. Like that would have been over the top. Why is this such a big deal? Like all I did was like fill up your butt. You can't downplay any type of assault. And at the end of the day, if I'm an insurer or if I'm another one of these vessels that's in the Gulf, me seeing the downplaying of that doesn't give me ease. Like, well, maybe she's right. Maybe it was just a fast attack boat. Let me go ahead and set sail without permission. I don't see that as being the way to go. We're also seeing today that Iran during this ceasefire period seems to have the opportunity to restock, remobilize. This is in Tehran's Revolutionary Square. This was recorded yesterday, April 21st. This is of one of the Iranian missiles. Of course, a lot propaganda and be propaganda, and I get that. But the point being is that these things still exist deep inside of mountains, caves, wherever the hell they're keeping this crap. And they're just showing that, hey, listen, you decide you want to stop the ceasefire, we're ready for that action. That's why I kind of say, listen, as much as we may want to pull out, we may be drugged back into this, because if there's a constant TikTok of ships being attacked in the Strait of Hormuz, which was not happening in February, the world may look at us like, you broke it, you fix it. Now, we may not have interest to do that, especially when we're seeing reports it could take up to 6 months to clear the Strait of Hormuz of mines deployed by the Iranian Navy. The Pentagon has informed Congress, according to the Washington Post. 6 months, and it's only estimated, right now we estimate we're seeing 20 of those naval mines. You may think to yourself, 6 months to remove 20 naval mines. The mines are crazy dangerous. The operation is extremely dangerous to do because the ships themselves that they use to remove mines, they don't have defense mechanisms that are anywhere near the same as a destroyer. So not only do you have to try to remove the mines in waters that could be hostile nearby, right? You're near Iran, you're near anybody that could be sympathetic to Iran, but you're also trying to do these maneuvers in the middle of waters that are transited by commercial vessels with things that are extremely dangerous. You ever seen that scene from, Hot Fuzz? When the police officers, they find that mine inside that guy's barn or whatever, you see how dangerous that thing was. Imagine that thing underwater floating, any wrong movement, and it's go time. We don't want anything like that happening. But we're seeing reports. Now, this has been denied by the administration, but Israel has been informed by the Trump administration that their new deadline for Iran is on Sunday. Is that true? I'm not sure. You know, what I talked about yesterday is that it seemed to be very open-ended, this ceasefire, which led me to believe that we're looking to pull out of this thing no matter what we got to do. And I want us to pull out as well. If that means that we have to just take an L, I will be okay with that, because it looks like we're already taking slight L's. The Financial Times and a lot of very reputable firms are reporting that Iranian flagged ships are getting past our naval blockade. And they're not just doing it by setting sail straight towards the Navy. They're avoiding international waters as a scapegoat to get past our blockade. So here's a map of how a tanker could travel from Karg Island and stay near coastal waters of countries where we can't enter our Navy without permission. Pakistan, India. So for instance, if you are a ship and you decide you're going to stay near the waters of Pakistan and India, maybe you violate their policies as a commercial tanker. Pakistan has to make a decision. Do we attack this commercial tanker that's near our waters? Probably not. India has to make a decision. Do we attack this commercial tanker that's near our waters? Probably not. In the United States can't just go sailing into the coastline waters, whatever nautical miles is considered your waters for your country. I think it's 5 nautical miles, maybe 15. I'm not sure about that. Somebody probably knows in the comments down below. This is a mechanism by which they could pass, turn off their transponders, stay near the coastline. It's hard to track them with satellites. There's probably so many vessels that are near those coastlines, and the sea is freaking humongous. So the U.S. is saying that this reporting is accurate, that not one vessel has made it past the blockade. I'm going to tell you right now, the Financial Times is reporting at least 34. I believe that the number is higher than 0. Is it 34? I don't know, but I really don't think it's 0. I think that, you know, if it's very, very important to Iran to get some of their barrels of oil past this blockade, they're going to find any way to do it. And it is increasingly difficult, as fantastic as our Navy is, to find these needles in a haystack. Turning off transponders, geolocation GPS does work to a certain extent near the coastline, jammers, all that type of stuff does not make it perfect. But here's the thing. The U.S. military has intercepted just today at least 3 Iranian flag tankers in Asian waters, and it's redirecting them away from their positions near India, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. Shipping and security sources told Reuters. But if we're redirecting those, I told you this probably in a video last week, we could have just a proverbial graveyard of vessels that have been seized by the Navy. It will be a complete headache. Let's just say, for instance, we seize 20 vessels. We have to now take those vessels. Let's say we destroy the engine rooms of all those vessels. How are we going to move all these vessels around? Like, this blockade could cost us so much freaking money. And this may not be enough to cripple Iran, bring them to their knees to where they feel like it's completely necessary, especially if they're not getting caught into their way in Asian waters. Speaking of Asian waters, I said that the rules-based international order, the rules-based international order was developed after World War II. It was when we came up with NATO and the United Nations. And we made it to the point where nations can sail the open seas, with a few exceptions. You don't want to get too close to North Korea and places like that. But you have you have low worries about tows and pirates, et cetera, et cetera. There are places 100% where you have to pay to get through. The Panama Canal is being one example. But we're now seeing other countries that could use the example of the Strait of Hormuz to begin to implement fees or tolls for ships to transit straits which were open for use in the past. Indonesia is announcing plans to impose fees on ships transiting the Strait of Malacca. Never heard it before. This is just a report. How true this could be, I'm not sure, but this is a strait that we're talking about here. So if we're looking, this is Indonesia, and this is all the islands that belong to Indonesia. They got a lot of freaking islands that belong to them. And that's right near Singapore. That's also right near Malaysia. So to think about all these Indonesian islands, right, to pass through this strait, which is a major strait, because if you don't take that strait, you have to go all the way around near Australia and then come back up north. If you're trying to get up here anywhere near the Philippines or near Taiwan or near China, or it just makes travel that much more of a headache. And I'm not even sure if you're able to traverse this water as easily as just going through that strait. So we're seeing another example where saying like, hey, well, maybe it might be worth it for us to, make some things happen and to charge tolls, which could be a headache, because if we got all these straits around the world, Gibraltar, Suez Canal, of course, the Panama Canal, which you already have to pay to go through, but anywhere where people can decide, hey, it's close enough to our country, we're going to start having tax that ass if you want to sail through there. That's not something that we want to see. Now, I said it's kind of hard to pull out. That's a true statement. We're seeing reports from the Washington Post that says after a decade of fiercely attacking the previous deal, President Trump has authorized U.S. negotiators to consider a bargain that involves many of the same trade-offs one of his predecessors confronted. Those trade-offs that President Obama confronted was, how long do we say they're not allowed to enrich uranium? What do we give them back? Do we relieve sanctions? Do we release some of their cash that's held in Qatari banks? Now, the President Trump seems to be having to think about some of those same concessions that we made to make that previous deal. We might have to give up some of those just to be able to pull out. I want us to pull out. Matter of fact, I particularly don't think we need to enter another deal for the enrichment of uranium, because Iran sees their power in just closing down the Strait of Hormuz. They may not need, it's still probably a priority for them to have the ability to make sure they have a weapon, a nuclear weapon, but it may not be the immediate priority. If they see that they can cripple the world economically by closing that strait, jet prices are going up, fuel prices are going up, and anything made with petroleum like rubbers and tires are going up, all because fertilizer and helium, all that stuff is having trouble getting out of the Strait of Hormuz. And as big of a threat North Korea has with their nuclear weapons, they don't have the ability, at least not from what I'm seeing on my little ability to kind of look at the world. I'm not seeing the immediate ability of North Korea to completely cripple the world economically by them deciding to close this or close that. Maybe I'm wrong. It might be something that we kind of take a look at, but I don't see that as being an immediate threat. But this threat here of the fact that the Iranians have the ability to raise prices whenever they want simply by closing this strait is an issue. Hey, they seem to be about it. Attacking ships all over again. It is what it is. Let me know what your comments down below. Is this something that we need to worry about? Do you think that the price is going to continue to come back down when it comes to prices of oil and et cetera, et cetera? I'm hoping that it's so. I'm hoping that we're able to get that down. But right now we're seeing these prices at $101 a barrel. So we're seeing the prices still pretty high. And so I'm hoping that we're seeing, this is for Brent, for futures for Brent crude prices. West Texas crude is up today as well. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.